There's no reason why that couldn't be your story.
You don't have an expiration date.
Ooh, I love that.
The actual pages. Like, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
This is the Authors and Agents podcast. Brittany, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm super stoked to talk to you about your really, really beautiful book because the cover is just amazing. Tell me about that self-same medal that came out earlier this year.
Yeah, so that self-same medal follows 16-year-old Joan Sands. She has the magical ability to manipulate metal, and she only wants to use those powers to build swords and choreograph fights for William Shakespeare's acting company. But when malevolent fae invade London, she finds she's one of the few people who can protect the city.
I love it. And what a great elevator pitch you have right there.
Thank you. I practiced it so
Yes. You got to have a good elevator pitch. You got to just be able to say it in a couple lines, right?
You do, because so many people are like, so tell me what your book is about. And they don't have the 20 minutes for you to be like, to give them the full summary. So I had to get it down. And they say it with such love, but also it just puts you on the spot. Like,
it does. It does. It's that panic of like, what is my book about?
Right?
Okay. Whew, I don't know. I'm not sure yet.
Right.
Well, this is so exciting. So this is the first in this series, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be more to come. Do you have any like inkling of when the next one will be out?
Yeah, actually, the next one comes out next April.
April?
Yeah.
Ooh,
2 is out next April, and I'm working on book 3 right now. So it's a trilogy, so 3 books.
Trilogy.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh, so exciting. So this is such an exciting thing to have happen. Your debut book come out into the world. You have lots of other lovely things happening in your life too because you're an actress. But tell me about your publishing journey and what happened up to this point to get your book out into the world.
Yeah, so I started working on this book in 2018. It was my NaNoWriMo project for 2018.
Love it.
Epically failed. I wrote like 12,000 words. So it was not win that year. But I kept working at it through some encouraging writer friends and stuff, I managed to finish my first draft in early 2019, I want to say. I finished the first draft. It was only 34,000 words long. So the story was done, but the book wasn't anywhere near finished.
Okay.
My husband is the only one who read the first draft. He gave me some notes. I did some tweaks, changed the ending completely, and then I felt comfortable. I felt like I was in a good place where I could start reaching out to agents. I queried a couple that I knew of, and then one of the Twitter events, Pit Mad, rolled around and put my tweet out there. That's how I got my elevator pitch, because I had to
there you go,
boil it down to this little teeny tweet. So I tweeted out my little synopsis, and I got a bunch of interest and sent out my query letter to a bunch of agents. A couple of them got back to me requesting fulls. And I ended up getting 3 offers of representation, which was great. And signed with my fantastic agent, Alexandra Levick. I love her so much. She's so great.
She's so great. I've interviewed her on the podcast. She's amazing.
Oh, wonderful. I love her.
Yes.
So, and then Allie and we went through another year of edits on the book, which was great. I love having an editorially minded agent.
Yes.
And her notes and opinions are all so wonderful. So we worked on it for about a year from when I signed with her, and then went on submission right before Thanksgiving 2020. Actually had an editor reach out with a preempt in January, and my editor, Maggie Lerman over at Abrams, bought the entire trilogy in January of 2021. So that was, So
your little NaNoWriMo project that was only 12,000 words. You know.
Right. Well, now it's 78,000 words. So I have tracked the word count journey all the way through, because this was the first book that I ever finished. So that was already an accomplishment, finishing the story. And it's also the most words I've ever written in a book, for a book. So it all just feels like so many milestones in my head.
I love it.
Yeah.
Is book 2 longer or shorter than book 1?
Book 2 is about the same. It's maybe
okay.
a couple thousand words shorter, I think it's better.
Okay.
It's because I've grown as a writer between book 1 and book 2,
Exactly.
and like the stakes are higher. Joan is she's smarter. She's learned from book 1, but also that means the challenges are bigger. So yeah. We'll see how big book 3 is going to be, because I got to wrap all of it up. So
maybe book 3 will be your longest book,
right? Finally, write a chunky girl book. I want to write a thick girl book. It's in my heart, but I'm an underwriter. I start small and then I edit up.
I'm an underwriter too. I've never been an overwriter.
Yeah,
I don't know why. It would be nice to be an overwriter, but then I feel like I'd get attached
to
all those other words, and then I'm like, how do I cut those?
Right.
How do I delete them?
Right. I'm like, these are good too, please.
Yeah. Don't make me delete this.
Right. People are like, yeah, my agent told me I need to cut 10,000 words. I'm like, how? How do you do that?
I would have such a hard time with that. Such a hard time.
My precious babies.
Yes.
I already have a hard time.
Any of you go. Oh yeah. Editing can be hard. For sure. When you're like, I don't want anything to go away or change.
I always, I make a whole new document. So, the original always exists somewhere completely intact. And that gives me the freedom to just, go in with a machete or a scalpel and just chop it up.
I do that, too. I have a folder that's, past drafts, past versions. And I, do the month it was finished. Because then I like to go back and be like, okay, how changed is this, right? How much did I do?
Mm-hmm. It's so handy.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yes. So looking back on your journey and querying and everything that you went through to, find Allie, who's amazing, what would your maybe top querying tip be for authors who are just stuck in the querying trenches right now?
I think have everything saved in a Dropbox or Google Drive or some kind of cloud folder, so that you can you never feel caught off guard. If you find someone you want to send your query off to, then you already have a template that you can just slot their name into, throw that in the email. You have your different cuts of your manuscript. So people ask for the first 10 pages, the first 50 pages, the first 3 chapters, whatever. You have that, and you can just slide it in as an attachment. Have your full manuscript in that same cloud folder, so if somebody hits you up and is like, hey, I want the full, it's not a scramble to be like, oh, I gotta remember when I get home, or because the adrenaline hits when you get those emails, you get those requests, and it's make things as easy for yourself as possible, and give yourself a treat for putting yourself out there, even if they come back with a no. It's not a small thing to put your art out into the world to be judged, pretty much. So always give yourself treats.
Always give yourself treats. I don't know that I've heard that query tip before on the podcast, and I love that query tip. That might be the best one. Give yourself a treat, because it is so hard, whether you're getting requests or whether you're just getting passes. It's so hard just mentally. So give yourself a treat for sure.
Yeah. And I think I have as an actor, auditions are basically queries. And I've been on so many in my career, and sending out a query email is very different from walking into a room. You got 3 minutes to show these auditors what you can do and hold their attention, and then they're like, thank you so much, and you leave. So you just have to, querying is a separate part of the job from writing, separate from editing, and just the act of sending that out into the world deserves a treat.
It definitely deserves a treat. And that treat can be any kind of treat.
It really can.
It can be a book treat. It could be a food treat.
It could be a break treat, a nap treat.
Oh, a nap treat.
Yes.
That sounds lovely.
Naps as treats are underrated. You just,
yes.
You didn't work. Take a nap.
Take a nap. So my next question, I'd love to know, what is something you hope that readers take away from that self-same medal?
So one, I want people to have fun reading it. I want people to really enjoy it. 2, I want people to feel that the Shakespeare in it is done in a more understandable, accessible way. So they may feel encouraged to go see some Shakespeare that's happening close by and stuff, and not feel so separated from the work. And particularly for Black people, people of color, and queer people, I want my readers to feel seen and placed in history.
Oh yeah.
Because the fairies are all made up, but our existence in 1605 London is not. So
Definitely. I think that's great. I think, you know, I love the push and the desire for everybody to be seen in a book, right? Because that is the best feeling. And I remember so many times as a kid reading and being like, oh yes, I resonate with something in this, right? And that was such a cool moment. So yeah, every kid should be able to read a book and be like, oh, hey, that's just like me.
right, yeah. So
Yeah, I love that. So talking about you and who you like to read, who are some of your favorite authors and why do you love them?
right, okay. So I wrote this down, so I'm gonna look at my notes because it's
Do it.
one of those questions where when people ask you, every single name goes out of your head.
Yes.
But I've always been a fan of Gail Carson Levine. I follow her on Instagram right now, and I'm obsessed with her and everything she does. Since Ella Enchanted.
Oh,
Right. So, yep, that's like
yeah.
foundational text for me.
I love it.
Love N.K. Jemisin.
Oh, yes.
When I read the first book of hers, I read was The 100,000 Kingdoms, and I finished that entire trilogy in like a week and a half while I was working. So I just could not put those books down. And I love her. And I subscribed to Masterclass just so I could take her class.
Oh, I love it.
I love Leigh Bardugo.
Oh, yeah.
I've read Rule of Wolves twice now, and that is a thick girl book. Like that is a thick book. And I absolutely love it. I keep it on my inspiration shelf. So when I feel
I love that
writer's block, I'll pull it out and read a little bit of it. And she just, man, the way she writes heist and mystery and romance and everything is so wonderful. I just love it. I love Virginia Hamilton for what she writes. She's another one who I have books of hers on my inspiration shelf. I love how she handles like African American folk tales and folklore. And when I was in middle school, her book Her Stories, which is just like all of these African American folk tales and fairy tales centered around women. Every week I would get that book from the library. Like
I love that.
Every week I got it. So much that I bought it and it lives on my shelf. And the last one is Mimi Grace. She writes adult spicy romances, and anytime she puts one out, I'm like, I got it. This one, bought, purchased, read. So they just warm my heart so much. And when I'm like, they're my insomnia reads. They're my I'm feeling a little down. Let me read a little book. Let me read my little favorite sections like that. Yeah. So shout out to Mimi Grace. Love you, girl.
I love it. I think, it's so fun to fall in love with other authors and what they read and to have like ride or die ones. Like there's authors like, I will read anything you write. I don't care. Right? Really, if it's something I'm not really interested in, I will read it because I know you're amazing. Yep. So thinking about you, so you did NaNoWriMo, and you said that this manuscript for that Self-Same Metal was your first one that you ever finished. But did you write before that? Like, had you toyed with writing throughout your whole life, or was this kind of like your first attempt?
Yeah, so I've been doing like NaNoWriMo as a fun little thing for years. I was also in the OG like fan fiction trenches, like.
Oh yes. Oh, I love it.
Yes, like that I was, cutting my teeth there and stuff. But I never thought of actually publishing anything until later in life. I had a lot of internalized just bad experiences with English teachers a lot in school, and making me feel like my writing wasn't good enough. So I had to kind of fight through those, and it took me a while.
I bet.
So before I kind of got here, and like the practice of trying to get that 50,000 words down in a month in November, and just like building the confidence off of that. I've written 50,000 words before, but it wasn't a finished story. It was just kind of all over
Okay.
the place and just, chaotic as that November tends to be.
Yes, very chaotic.
But it really took like me making other writer friends. I did a lot of culture criticism writing with this website, Black Nerd Problems. And it was founded by and has a lot of works written by these incredible poets who just are amazing writers, and having them read my stuff and be so encouraging and complimentary about it just boosted my confidence to the point where I, got to this bad boy. So I consider myself a later in life writer in practice, but in my heart, I've been a storyteller since I was a little kid.
Yeah. And I loved class when I was in high school, but there is a certain aspect of English class in high school where it's like, this is how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do it this exact way, you're wrong. Right. Which is hard. And I remember when I wanted to start writing fiction, after high school, I was like, but I have to do it this way. And I didn't have negative experiences like you did, which I'm sure were really difficult to work through. But it's hard to break that mold from what we're taught of like, oh, this is how you write, right? And it can be hard to then be like, okay, well now I've got to figure it all out by myself.
Right. It is. And we read all of the things that we're made to read in English class aren't necessarily things that appeal to us as readers. There's always like a couple things that stand out. Like one of my high school required reading books was Jurassic Park, but that was for science, not for English, right? So,
that's cool. I like that.
And to this day, it's still one of my favorite books. So it kind of takes even longer to break out of that, like, oh, well, these are the things that are upheld. Like this is what you should aspire to. And then finding the things that you actually find are inspirational and aspirational for yourself. So definitely. I took a class in college called Love and Hate in Russian Literature. And that was one of the best lit classes I've ever taken.
Wow.
It was incredible. It was fantastic. And I, some of the things I learned there, I still apply today. So, and I guess I never thought of that as a class or as a stop on my writer's journey, but now I'm
probably not.
Absolutely was.
Yeah, I love it. So thinking about, maybe like a late start writer later in life who's maybe working through some, like you had some people who kind of beat you down, right? Mm-hmm. on whether or not you could actually do it. What advice would you give to that person who's like wanting to start it and wanting to be where you are now, but needs a little motivation to get going?
I think I would say this is something that I am trying to do now. Make your creative space as encouraging as you can. Put affirmations on the wall. I have a list on my desk of all of the things that I've accomplished with this book that I keep so I can, like, when I'm feeling down about myself, I can glance at it. Make note of all of any, like, the passages that you write where you're like, wow, yes, that was it. I really wrote that. Like, put those somewhere too, or like put them in a file, like save them. You can like make them pretty and print them out, put them on your Instagram, put them wherever you can see them all the time and boost yourself up. I keep my inspiration shelf close by where it's all of the books that I absolutely love and are the things that when I think about what I want my writing to do, these are the books that do that. So when I'm feeling blocked, I can grab something off that shelf and sit and read it, and that always like refills my cup. But just make sure, like, do what you can to have the positive moments outweigh that negative voice in your head, and keep those things in places where as soon as that negative voice pops up, you can quiet it down and like look at this positive thing.
I love it. I love making like pretty pictures, like with all my favorite like lines and stuff that I've written, and I like to like print them out. That's one of my favorites too, because then you have that feeling of like, yeah, I wrote that,
Right.
and that's pretty good.
Right. It's like, I did that. See?
I'm not bad. I'm
Right.
not bad. I'm a good writer. Those are some
I
great
thought
things.
about like showing off my book. I was like, I wish I could go back in time and like give this book to my 16-year-old self to like shove in all my teachers' faces and be like, ha, see, I did it. You didn't think I could, but I did. And like, I imagine them having to buy their own copies. I wouldn't give them a copy. They would have to buy their own copies.
Yeah.
Like,
they would come to you and be like, hey, can I read it? And you'd be like, sure, go down to the store. It's for sale.
You bring it back, I'll sign it. So I always knew I could do this. Brittany and Williams.
Yep. Oh my gosh, I love it
Just
so much.
Be petty.
Just to be petty.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be a little bit petty.
It is.
All right. There's nothing wrong with that. So thinking about, maybe what you'd want to write next, or if you were to ever genre hop, what is a genre that you'd love to write that's different from what this series is?
Yeah. So, I would love to write an adult romance novel. A little spicy, but
oh yeah.
So I have like my agent Allie and I have planned out like my next 10 books. So I have a spreadsheet. I am that person. I have a whole spreadsheet.
I love
like
it.
All of the details and stuff. So I'm like, I plan on sitting in this historical fantasy space for the next like 3 books, and then hop into like contemporary, maybe fantasy, maybe not, I don't know, and then like giving it a little bit of space before I get to my like adult romance. I have it in my head, I have it planned, but I cannot wait to get to it. But
it'll be so good.
Stuff on the like, there's some other books in line first, so I
love it.
Excited about that because I love reading adult romance, and it's so good.
I will tell you, I'm working on an adult romance right now, which is so different from what I typically write. I'm typically like sitting in like YA murder mystery because I love murder mysteries. It's like always been the love of my heart. But lately I've been in this romance reading era, and then I got this idea and I was like, I am not going to write a YA romance, but I am, and I'm like almost halfway done with it. Brittany, I'm like, this might be it for me. It's so
like
fun.
Those moments where you write something and your heart goes like, just like, oh.
Yes. I like grin the whole time while I'm writing it, just so excited because it's fun. It's fun to write something different. But yeah, romance has like stolen my heart lately.
It's so lovely to read, and it's those getting to those moments that either like make you blush or like make your heart pound a little bit. Like I love that, and I'm excited to eventually write that. So
you'll get there.
Gonna get there. Yeah,
you're gonna get there. It'll be fine. We can't wait. I can't wait to see what it is. But yeah, there's been a couple moments, spicy moments, where I'm writing and I'm like, is anybody looking at me?
Well, like I said, in the fan fiction trenches, I can like stone face it out with the best of them. Nobody writes the spicy like fanfic writers. Like
I think we all started in fanfic. I remember writing Twilight fan fiction when I was a kid, and I remember just being like so into it. But I think it's a good writing tool, definitely.
No, it is, because it's like it really gives you a chance to work on like these skills that may be more intimidating when you write original fiction, because you're working within this like shared world between you and your readers. You all understand these characters. So there's all of this stuff that you can skip, and you can really like figure out dialogue, figure out how to move plot. You figure out how to write extremely short fiction, how to kind of combine disparate stories and disparate characters into this like unified world where they can kind of slot together. I have this unfinished Sailor Moon Sky High crossover.
Oh my gosh.
I feel so bad because it was so good and people were really like riding with it. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I may finish it one day, but
that's amazing.
I'm sorry to everybody, all of my fanfic.net readers. I'm so sorry. I don't know if that's ever finished.
But you know what? They can reread it, and just what they have is what they have. Oh, I love it so much. Yes, there's nothing bad about fan fiction.
No.
That is great. People will harp on it, and I don't think they should.
There's a wide range of stuff. You just got to find where you fit in. Find your little
Exactly.
niche. There you go.
Exactly. So I feel like you probably have a good answer to this next question. I'd love to know, what is the worst writing or publishing advice that someone has given you?
Oh man, the worst I've seen is to write every day.
Ugh.
And it was like that whole, if you don't write every day, then you're not a real writer.
Right, right.
And it just, oh man, when I think about, like, I cringe when I think about it, because that kind of held me back for a while. This thought of like, oh, I can't write every day, so I'm not,
right.
I'm not gonna, I can't do.
You're not taking it seriously enough, right? Right.
So, and that like goes hand in hand with the worst acting career advice I ever got, which is, if you have a plan B, then you're never gonna make it. So it's like, if you can't like focus on this thing, if you can't focus on writing with this single-mindedness, if you can't focus on acting with this single-mindedness, then you're not going to make it as an artist in this field, because your brain, you just, that's not
right. You have an out or whatever.
Right. And that is absolutely not true. You don't have to write every day. You can't, some days you can't write every day, especially, with life. You have to have another job maybe, or you have a family to take care of. Things come up. You're tired. You just get like, your brain.
You're sick.
Yeah.
Something happens. You're on vacation,
Right. Right. So you just, I think that's the absolute worst. And and it's, what makes it so insidious too is that sometimes I feel myself sliding back into being like, oh God, I didn't write today. I'm not a real writer. I'm a fraud.
Right.
So, and it sounds true. It sounds like it is true. Like, if you don't write every day, then you're not going to make it, or you won't get there, or you're not a real writer. When you're feeling insecure, it sounds true.
It does.
And
I just think I think we're all so good at putting like a ridiculous amount of pressure on ourselves. And I think this advice does that to a huge like margin, right?
Yeah.
And it's the comparison game. It's putting this pressure on yourself that you need to be like this perfect, like, little soldier of a writer, when it's like, no, it's okay to take breaks. In fact, taking breaks is so crucial for your mental health throughout this whole process, because while writing can be really therapeutic and fun, it can also be really draining when you're already feeling emotional or drained. Like, I can't ever write when I'm like upset or like too emotional.
Right.
I have to wait a little bit for those emotions to calm down. And to have this like little voice barking in your head, like, oh, you're not a real writer.
Right.
We all feel that every day anyway, sometimes, like, for other reasons. We don't need to listen to this advice that makes it even worse.
Right. And then you always hear these stories about like the greats wrote all the time, and like they did this, and it's like, well, the greats also had their wife typing for them, or they had their mom doing their laundry and bringing them 3 meals a day. Like, I don't have that. It's just me taking care of me, and also I have a toddler, so it's like I can't.
Yeah. No. I have a toddler and a baby, and I write on my phone if I get the chance,
right. Like,
and that's how it is.
And that's it. You were doing it. That's doing the day. You were doing it just as well, if not better, than the dudes who had their wives typing and their moms bringing them sandwiches.
Yeah. And you know what? I think those dudes probably still took breaks.
They probably.
I think they like to hype it up like they didn't, but no doubt they were sick at some point. Right. And they chose to just like not write, or they had writer's block.
Right. Or, if they wrote through sickness, some of them didn't make it. So, let's follow this through to the conclusion. Like, some of them should have. You might have finished that final novel if you had taken a break. So,
take a break.
Take a break.
It is okay. Take a break. You will be better for it.
Yes.
Well, I just have a couple questions left for you. I'd love to know, besides acting,
Mm-hmm.
what do you like to do when you're not writing? Because I know acting is a huge part of your life, but when you're not acting or writing, what is something you like to do?
Oh man. So I really love I love going to museums.
Oh, fun.
I just love like walking around art museums and stuff and getting the stories behind paintings and the just kind of enjoying the space and seeing artifacts and everything. And then I love watching Dungeons and Dragons real plays.
Oh, really?
So, like, yeah, I'm obsessed with Dimension
I
20.
love it.
And then I'm in my own D&D group. We play
Fun.
every other week. I am a changeling rogue, level 4. Our DM
Perfect.
does not let us level up fast, so we are in the trenches. But yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy both watching like the Dimension 20 actual plays because it's what better way to see a bunch of improvisers and comedians like be in their element than to watch them play Dungeons and Dragons. And then I like playing myself. It's just such a good time. And
I love it. My mom plays with my brothers. They do their own little Dungeons and Dragons every couple of weeks. It's so fun to hear them talk about it. My brother is like the storyteller of all storytellers, and he's their dungeon master, and he's just, it goes on for a very long time.
So we've been playing for like going on 3 years, and in game time it's been like a month and a half. So like we had our first section of the campaign was like this 20-day span, and so we finished that within like maybe 6 months, and then for the rest of the time we've been in this span of like 2 weeks. So
that's been a busy 2 weeks.
It really has. So it's intense. And we keep like forgetting. We have to keep reminding each other like, well, it's only been like 2 days. Even though we've been playing at it for like 6 months.
That's hysterical. Oh my gosh, I love it. That's like shared storytelling in such a fun form, right? Though you're living in a shared world with people and having a break from reality. I think that's great.
No, it's great. And then like, you have all of these plans that you lay out, and then the dice add in this extra chaotic element. So you can have the perfect like move planned, and then you roll really badly and it just doesn't work. So
I love it.
Yeah. And then
keeps you on your toes.
And then sometimes you throw a Hail Mary and the dice are like, you know what? I'm with you on this. And you roll perfect. It's great. So
I love it.
It's so much fun. It's so fun. I really enjoy it.
Good. That's awesome. Well, my last question for you is easy. I promise. It sounds hard, but it's not. I'd love to know what your favorite book is right now, not your favorite book of all time. Mm-hmm. Just something you've read recently that you're like, everybody else needs to know about this book.
Yeah, so I haven't read this one yet, but I'm very excited. It's on a hold. It's been like I've been waiting for my hold to like come through.
Yeah.
I read The Princess Trap by Talia Hibbert, and I loved it. And then they had an excerpt from another of her books, The Roommate Risk.
Okay.
And I read the excerpt and I was like, I need this book now. I need it now. So like my enjoyment of one has kind of rolled over to the other. And that's like the thing I'm most anticipating reading right now.
I love it.
It's another like adult spicy romance. So my readers, it's not for you.
It's right. Not for you young adults,
right.
Children, but for adults. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, because I love asking this question, even though we all have 12,000 books on our like to be read list, but we can always add more. Always. Well, Brittany, thank you so much for chatting with me today, letting me and my listeners get to know you a little bit more. Everybody, make sure you read that Self-Same Metal, and let's go ahead and remember that the next one in the series is coming out in April. Can we pre-order it yet or no?
Pre-order it now. Yeah.
Pre-order it now. What's the title?
Saints Seducing Gold.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Listen, pulling them. I can only take partial credit. They're both titles are Shakespeare quotes, like partial Shakespeare quotes.
Yeah,
So.
I love it. Well, I mean, it works. It works.
Yeah.
You know.
So, and the cover hasn't been revealed yet. So the cover.
Okay.
And the cover is, oh my God, I love it.
But you've seen the cover, but we just haven't seen it yet.
No one else has seen it. So.
Okay, I cannot wait. It's so exciting. Thank you so much, Brittany. It's been a blast, and I'm excited to see, years from now, your 10th book.
Right.
Adult
romance.
Yes, I can't wait. It's exciting.
Thank you.